All right, let's talk about this mass shooting in Pennsylvania that claimed the lives of 3 officers. So this is from PBS.org. A suspected stalker armed with a rifle hid at his ex-girlfriend's home in the rolling farmland of southern Pennsylvania and ambushed police officers who came to arrest him, killing 3 of them, a prosecutor said Thursday. Police arriving at the scene at about 2:10 p.m. Wednesday noticed the door to the home was unlocked, even though the ex-girlfriend and her mother had locked it before leaving the property for their safety. They opened the door and were immediately fired upon by the suspect, 24-year-old Matthew James Ruth, who was carrying an AR-style rifle with a suppressor, York County District Attorney Tim Barker said. Okay, real quick before I continue on. Only thing I saw about this guy was a picture. Only thing I know about this guy is from the articles that I've read. Based on where he is, rural Pennsylvania, I'd been there. I went there for the Jack and Jill event. So, southern Pennsylvania or whatever. Jack and Jill of America. It's like almost like a Boys and Girls Club sort of thing for young black people, students and whatnot. Anyway, knowing that part of the country, it feels like Trump country. AR-style weapon feels like, it feels like what it is. Of course, I can't say for certain, but I need to make a bigger point, so I wanted to stop here to kind of delineate these elements of the story so that they stand out in your mind. Okay. He said the suspect fired multiple rounds at the 4 officers at the door, killing 3 of them. A gunfight then ensued between Roth and 2 officers outside. Ruth wounded a sheriff's deputy before police shot the gunman to death, Barker said. Detective Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Mark Baker, and Detective Isaiah Imheiser were the officers who were killed, he said. They all worked for the Northern York County Regional Police Department. Quote, each of these men represented the best of policing. They served with professionalism, dedication, and courage. They were leaders within our agency committed to protecting this community and standing beside their fellow officers, unquote. Chief Dave Lash said of the 3 slain Northern York Regional Police officers. Investigators later found the ex-girlfriend's dog had been shot dead in the basement. Okay. If I may, I know I've been kind of going first a lot on the show, but I've been sitting with these stories. First off, this is heartbreaking. I have been in the past and will continue to be very critical of policing, the way policing is done in this country. I don't like it, and until it changes, I won't like it. With that said, I respect the fact that these are human beings, and that I'm one of the people that believes almost to a fault that people can change. People can learn new things. People can evolve. It doesn't seem to be the case with current training procedures and whatnot. I think that this country needs a racial reckoning. The fault of the individual officers, that's not the fault of the human beings that lost their lives here. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge that these were people that deserve to grow old and deserve the opportunity to find the why, the evolution, the change. But I think that this story has been swallowed up because of the oxygen of obviously the headlines of the past couple weeks, and or the oxygen going to really one major headline. But also, I don't know that a lot of people really want to confront a story like this because of the optics. There is a gun problem, and there's more than just, Charlie Kirk, the last thing that he was talking about was gang violence, right? And I think a lot of people think that gang violence is something that you can conflate with the gun problem. And to an extent, I believe that to be true. But gang violence tends to be isolated, this gang versus that gang, or this individual versus that individual. And granted, there are people that lose their lives there, and this is a problem that we've been working on and combating for a long time as a people and as a country. Nobody should be killed needlessly, right? But I think that over the years, we've been able to identify a number of reasons that gang violence has been prevalent, not the least of which is a lack of economic opportunities outside of gang life. Nobody's a little kid and is like, it would be dope if I could be a gangbanger or if I could sell drugs. That's not realistic. That's not how, people come up in those environments. That's just kind of like, well, I can keep being hungry, living with all these roaches, or I can get the money like these other people I see getting money. I'm not tall. I'm not going to the NBA. I'm not a good rapper. I can't even stay awake in school because I'm hungry or sleepy or whatever. And that's the reality for a lot of people. So they end up being a product of their environment. But to conflate that with the larger gun issue that we talk about, the one that kind of we share in the cultural zeitgeist, the mass shooting gun issue, the suicide gun issue, that gun issue, it's hard for people to confront that head on. And so they use things like what's in the headlines right now as a shield. And they ignore stories like this, where indeed we're looking at another mass shooting event that took the lives of 3 police officers. I chose this story intentionally because everybody, all of them, they love police, right? First, they're heroes and whatnot. I push back against that idea. I think they're paid to do their job. And when they do something heroic, I'm the first to say they're a hero. But when they're doing their job, they're doing the job. But, that part of the country really does love these folks. And I've noticed a silence that is deeply unsettling. And I think it's because a significant part of the country is afraid to look in the mirror, because when they look in the mirror, they're going to see who's doing these killings that suck all the oxygen out of the headlines. And again, it's not gang violence. Gang violence doesn't affect these people because, again, gang violence is singular. It affects the data, sure, but it doesn't make you afraid to walk around in the mall